back for another one.
Hi.
Yeah. So you got us again, Brandon, Lely. You already know. Dorsey Days, I think, might be the name we end up going
Dorsey Days.
with. Yeah, that might end up being the name we go with for the whole thing, the whole shebang bang. I think I'm gonna do a lot of talking in this video. I think that's what we agreed on.
I just feel like I talked a lot in the first one.
Yeah. So I guess what we're gonna leave on now, where we're gonna start, is just really how we started, how we got together, things like that. So we're gonna take a trip back in the past. We're back in my car for this one. We were in her car in the other one. So, how far back do you think we should go?
2010.
Okay, so we met at Marquette University. That's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We were in the Educational Opportunity Program. So when I met her, she was one of the peer counselors, which is like basically one of the RAs, and then like she was like a counselor, but you know, a peer.
Summer.
Yeah, so it was in the summertime.
So it was the summer after he graduated high school.
Yeah, in the summer before freshman year started. So that's where we met. She was my counselor. We didn't really talk very much. I'm more of a, like I always say this, I'm more of an introvert, so I don't really talk very much, period. Well, I talk more when I get to know somebody, but when I'm first meeting somebody, I don't really talk very much. So I think...
I talk a lot.
She does. So I think she would tell you that she didn't know that, she probably thought I disliked her, basically. Or she probably thought I didn't want to be bothered with her.
Yeah.
She wasn't wrong.
Like, I don't think you disliked me. I didn't think you wanted to, like, necessarily be friends, because you were never rude to me, but you just were very short. So, like, part of my job was to meet with all of my students. It's weird to say, but meet with them and then ask them how things were going with, like, summer school. And our meetings, him and I, our meetings were like 5 minutes, and like my meetings with my other peers were like 20 minutes, because they would actually talk to me. So he was just like, I'm good, things are good. And he was nice, cordial, but just like short. So,
you know, I have been described as a man of few words. So,
but I feel like I should back up a little bit, because when I first, like, this is like, you can't really share this because this is my perspective, but when I first met him, or when I first saw him, I was like immediately attracted to him, and I thought he was not a stop. I thought he was not a student. Like I was at the registration table with my friend, and she could like attest to this. And we saw him walking up, and we were like, ooh, like big brother. Like we thought he was like the older brother of like a student, and was bringing someone, because he didn't look like he was 18. Like he didn't.
I wasn't 18.
He wasn't. He was 17. He didn't look like a student. So when I saw him, I was like, ooh, like who is that? So I was like immediately attracted to him. And then he came up to the table, said his name, and I was like, oh, I'm your peer counselor, blah, blah, blah. So then I like shut off my like, I shut off like being attracted to him, because I was like, oh, he's a student. So mind you, I was a senior. Like I had already been in, what?
Your senior year had passed.
Okay, I was a super senior, but technically I was a senior. I had senior credit, so I had already been in school for 4 years. I just wasn't your like straight A, take a ton of credit student. I was a worked like 40 hours a week on top of school, so it was just taking me longer to finish school. So technically I should have graduated in May of 2010, technically, but I was still in school and he was starting, so that was tangent. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so really didn't talk very much. That pretty much was the end of it. So I already had her number from that. So this is basically a fast forward to now. It's 2012. This is when I finally I guess reached out to talk to her, just because I was at a point where I felt like, so here's something I noticed about her. I noticed that she was unique, but let me tell you why. So I pull up, walking over there to the table. So I noticed that she had on a jean skirt, long, like down to the ankles in August.
No, it wasn't. It was
not
short.
in August, in June.
It was a short one.
In June, and It was hot. It was probably at least a 80-something degree day. It might have been in the 90s. I don't know. But yeah, it went down to your ankles. I'm pretty sure because you had on sandals. I think they were white sandals.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I noticed. Maybe it was me.
I had long skirts. I just don't think I was wearing one that day.
Either way, I felt like that was unique because don't nobody wear no jean skirts in 2010. So that's the first thing I noticed. So I ended up learning more about her, so that her faith was something that was important to her. So she was the Pentecostal or apostolic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ended up learning about her, and then I was like, okay, that makes sense. Then the jean skirt, whole thing. So now,
for those of you who don't know, like it's like a thing. It's like a, I don't know how to call it, but a lot of religious. Okay, I'm not religious, but a lot of people who are in that organization, like UPC or.
You're not religious?
I'm not. I don't like the word religion. I think religions definitely divide people. I'm spiritual. I love Jesus. I'm a Christian. I don't know that I would say religious, because even when you look up like the definition of religious, it's like, religion.
So I didn't grow up like that. So
my point is that I used to only wear skirts. Like I used to just wear skirts every day, as like a part of my church. Like it was something that we at our church did. So yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So now I remember that part about her now. So at this point in 2012, like I said, I'm looking for, as far as like women go, I felt like I was at a point where I wanted and needed to be with a woman who had a strong faith. So I remember her. Now the attraction was already there, because I mean she was attractive, but I was like, when I was 17, I wasn't looking for nothing serious anyway. So I didn't really even talk to her on that level like that anyway. So now I'm 19. I'm like, all right, I'm tired of messing around with these other girls.
We should talk about Twitter, because that was the thing.
Go ahead.
So like, I think it was like a year after we met, there was like this whole flirting situation that happened on Twitter, which honestly, like, I had forgot about, but one of our friends kind of reminded me. But basically, you would flirt with me on Twitter, and I would flirt back with you, because in my head, nothing was ever going to happen, because I thought he was like too young, honestly, for me. So I
guess I was planting seeds.
It was 2011 for sure, because I had posted some pictures from my graduation, because I graduated in December of 2011. So like I graduated a year and a half after we met. So I was still in school for 3 more semesters, and during that time we would see each other like here and there, not a lot, but like on the street we would see each other and be like, hey, what's up? But we were never like super friends. We would just see each other and stuff. But then we had this like flirting thing on Twitter where like I had posted this picture, and he was like, I don't even remember. I should like go back and find the tweets, but yeah. So we had like some interaction within those 2 years, just not a lot, but some.
Mm-hmm.
I like saw you at an event once, and like.
Yeah, she bought me a drink.
Bought him a drink.
My underage self. And I really didn't even drink. I guess I did.
Well, neither of us really drank like that at that time, but we were at like a step show, I think, and I don't know, it was weird. So basically what I'm saying is that we had interactions. It just, we weren't like, they were minimal.
It's funny though, because I think it was at that moment when I knew I had the juice. I'm like, if I were to pursue this, I think I could get somewhere with this. But like I said, I still at that point wasn't necessarily looking for anything serious. But that was a few months before I actually did reach out on that level.
Right. Because I think this was like February of 2012 when we were at that event.
Phone call. All right, so now when I finally do reach out, 2012, I forgot where I was gonna go with this, but I reached out basically.
You gotta talk about Chinatown.
Yeah, so basically, long story short, I was in Chicago in Chinatown, and I saw these statues, the Chinese zodiac statues, whatever. I was just playing along with it, and then so I'm a monkey, 92. That's when I was born. So I was playing along with it, and it says you're compatible with people born, rats and dragons. So closest to my age would either be 88, which were the dragons, or 96, which were the rats. So I'm thinking to myself, do I know any people born at this time? Sure enough, I'm like, wait, I think this super
Not
senior.
that you believe in this astrology stuff, but
Not really. I thought it was interesting. So I'm like, I wonder if it's true. So like, let me reach out. Let me see if I know anybody born in these times. So I was thinking, I remember like, yo, wasn't Aurelia a super senior? And like, she probably was 4 years older than me, right? So I asked her, I'm like, what year were you born? So she was like 88. And I was like, bingo. So it was basically at that point where we started talking. We were like joking around about that. But
literally though, like the text that I got from him, which I don't think he had ever texted me before, was, what year were you born? Like, not like, hey, what's up? How are you?
I get straight to the point.
Mind you, it's summertime, so like, we're not even in school right now. So it was just really weird. Like, I just literally got a text from him that said, what year were you born? So part of me felt like, is this text for me? Does he mean to text somebody else? Because that's just not like a normal way to start a conversation. So I like pondered, how do I answer this? Because I was thinking maybe I say like, hi, like, I had your number saved, so I knew it was you. So I finally decided to just respond and say 1988. So the same way I feel like he texted me like super random and like short, I just responded the same way. So then he said, oh, I'm in Chinatown, and it says that I'm reading something that says that we're compatible. And so then, of course, as a girl, I was like, ooh, maybe he likes me.
Yeah, so basically that.
And then we started texting.
So end up getting together, so however many months later.
Yeah, so this was the beginning of June. This was like right around like probably like the very beginning of June. So maybe like June 1st, the first week of June.
Yes.
And then what happened? I think I should take your charger and plug it in.
I don't necessarily remember what happened in this order after that.
After that, a few weeks after that text conversation, we ended up working together. Ish.
Oh yeah, I ended up becoming a peer counselor, and she was working in this other program that's connected to it for middle schoolers, I believe it was, maybe high schoolers too.
It's high school.
Okay.
Yeah, so he got the same job that I had when we met him, was when I met him. So he got the job as a peer counselor, and I had graduated college and got a job as like an interim counselor because someone was on maternity leave. So technically I was like a professional staff member and he was a student staff member. And so we were starting to work in a couple weeks. So I told him like, oh, I'm gonna be working at Marquette this summer, and he was like, oh, me too. And I was like, oh, cool. So then, yeah, what happened after that?
I mean, I'm gonna be skipping over a lot of stuff because I don't want to make a 1 hour video. But,
Yeah.
So we ended up getting together. We're together.
We hung out the whole summer, basically. Like, we would see each other every day because we both worked at Marquette. So sometimes we would just see each other in passing, and then other times we would like make special plans to see each other, which was super fun and kind of exciting because technically, like, we weren't supposed to be dating because I was like a staff member and he was a student. But I was an interim staff, so it's not like I was whatever. But yeah, so we would like see each other and like have to be discreet about it, which is kind of cool, I think. Then the summer program ended, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Yes. So now we're together. Blah blah. This is a fast forward to the next year in February. So this is probably 6 months from.
6 months from when we started dating.
Yeah. So I went to study abroad in South America. I went to Chile.
Yep.
So I was there for 5.5 months. So that was probably the most pivotal time in our relationship, I would say.
For sure.
You know, so basically I was going through a lot of things because that was my first time being out of the country. I've been to Puerto Rico, but that's in the country still technically. So out of the country, I didn't have any family, anything like that. I only had like one friend, like 1.5. So he's going through stuff. So long story short, we didn't know if we was going to end up staying together.
Right, because for me, like, you know, basically I'm working now, so I'm not in school, and my whole life is like, it's kind of routine. Like, I go to work every day, and we went from, you know, seeing each other regularly to like he's gone, and like, not like, he was so busy too with school and like this new like life that we didn't really get to talk much. There was like an hour difference too, but also like we couldn't talk. Like I couldn't call him on we couldn't call each other on cell phones. I had to purchase calling cards and call him. It was complicated. So we didn't talk as much as we would have hoped to. And he was like living his best life. No, he was just, I don't know, like you were just having a good time. Like I feel like you weren't necessarily focused on me. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, end up coming back. We still gotta deal with the ramifications of all that, but you know, we got better.
Yeah.
So when we ended up deciding that the relationship was worth keeping, we see a future in it, make it work.
And I feel like that pivotal moment when we decided we were gonna like make this happen was in Florida, right?
Yeah, in Orlando.
So we were in Florida in December of 2013. And it was cool because my dad actually was like, "Oh, I'm going to Florida. Me and your brother are going to Florida. Do you want to come? You and Brandon want to come?" And I was like, "Me and Brandon," because like Brandon was still just my boyfriend, and like I don't know, that's kind of a big deal for my dad to ask if he wanted to come. And we were like, "Yeah, bet, let's go." So we went to Florida. We're in Florida, and I don't know. I guess you can maybe talk about what happened to you in Florida.
We're just having conversations about God, basically. So her family is extremely religious, like everybody in the family, pretty
Christian.
much. Extremely religious. So, you know, they're talking about God, talking about the right way to heaven, all of that stuff. So, like I said, Pentecostal, apostolic, all of that. And we ended up talking about the Bible. So, long story short, I ended up getting baptized, I think it was December 29th.
Yep.
Or was it the 28th?
I think it was the 29th.
That was 29th.
Yeah.
Because I remember that day for what happened afterwards. So that was 2013. So that strengthened our relationship, strengthened my relationship with her family.
And it was like 100% like his decision. Like no one was like, "Brandon, you should get baptized." He just kind of he just felt it, and then was asking questions, and it was cool. So that was a Saturday night, and then the next day he got baptized.
Yeah, so I already had knew about God and Jesus and all that, but I didn't know about it in the way that they knew about it, basically. So, because I really never read the Bible all like that. So, I guess just reading it, being exposed to things, actually seeing the things and the reasons why people believe the certain things, and it's like, now it all makes sense. So then at that point, I got baptized. Because I had been baptized before when I was 9. But, you know, at that point, you don't really understand I knew what it meant, but I didn't necessarily know why I was doing it. I just knew that, hey, I guess you're supposed to do it. So it's different once you realize why you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful moment for me too. So we kind of skipped over this, but Brandon was my first boyfriend. Like I had never, obviously, like, you know, there was crushes, there was guys that I talked to, whatever, blah blah blah. But no one that I had ever like said this is my boyfriend and like announced it like publicly, or you know, to my family, or brought anyone home to my family. So when we started dating, when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I was 23 years old. So like 23 and like having my first boyfriend. So like in your head, you don't believe that your first boyfriend's gonna be your last boyfriend. But I did know that I really liked him and cared about him. So after he got baptized, I don't know, like things really started to change in our relationship. Like we just were getting stronger, and I think the closer you get to God, you just change. Like you become better, I think. So yeah, we started to really strengthen our relationship, and I started to see him as like a potential like husband. Yeah, and actually, I think when we were in Florida, we had a conversation about how we saw each other as potential future married. We saw ourselves as married in the future, I think, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only reason I ever started talking to her on that level, because I knew that she was the type that you don't just mess around with. That's the type that, you know, when you want something serious, which that's what I'm talking about, marriage.
So when you started pursuing me, it's because you wanted to marry me? Is that what you're saying?
Because I knew you were somebody that was worthy of being married, I guess you could say. wife material, I guess you could say. So, that's
Yeah.
that's
So, yeah, it was great. We were in Florida for Christmas and New Year's. We spent time with my family. I don't know, it was really, really beautiful. And then we came back and things were just better. Like any kind of like yucky like stuff that we had in our relationship from before, just like yuckiness, was kind of gone. And we were just working on like moving forward and being happy, and like it was good.
All right, so we're gonna skip over a lot of stuff. Now we're gonna fast forward to, this is 2014, I believe. Yes.
Which isn't that much far. I mean, we were there for New Year's, so it's 2014 before we left Florida.
I mean, I'm sure stuff happened in between there. So anyway, so now this is probably March, maybe February, maybe.
I think it was March.
All right, so we're just having a conversation. So we're talking about our relationship with her cousins. They had, or her one cousin just asked, like, why don't y'all get married like now instead of like, because you know a lot of people want to wait to get married to save up money or to be in a better place for X, Y, and Z. But
Or save money for a wedding.
that too. And their whole thought process was that you'll never necessarily be ready for marriage, or even like we had this conversation also about like having kids. So we're not having kids right now, but like the same type of conversation came up. It's like you'll never necessarily be all the way ready. So you just gotta dive in. So when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah, so then he was like, maybe we should get married. Well, we talked about like, getting married, and
plus, like, you know, the fun part about being married is like, I guess you could say having nothing and then building up to whatever you have after that.
yeah, so he was like, let's get married like now. Like he wanted to get married, like boom, get married. And I was like, he was still in school, so he was still a senior. And I was like, how about you graduate first, and then after you graduate, then we can get married. And he was like, yeah, that makes sense. So then, so he graduated. He graduated on Sunday, May 18, 2014. And we got married on Monday, May 19th, 2014. So we literally got married the next day. And that was like, that kind of came from his parents, because his parents, we were still living in Milwaukee. They were living in Illinois. And they were like, well, we're going to be down there for Brandon's wedding. So if you guys, or Brandon's graduation.
Look at that bumper sticker.
Baby. Wait, I can't see it. Baby up in the. Oh, okay. It's profanity. That's why I didn't say it. But yeah, so they were like, we're going to be in town for his graduation. Do you guys want to get married that same weekend? Then we won't have to take off work. And we were like, let's do it. So we did it. We got married on a Monday, and the Monday morning at like 11. So Brandon was 21 and I was 25.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, it's already been 23 minutes. So we'll probably have to talk about like being married, young and all that stuff in a different video.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we skipped over a couple things. We got the big stuff in there, I would say. So.
Yeah, so I feel like since we're going to be vlogging, hopefully having like people who pay attention and watch, if there's something that you feel like you want to know that we missed in the story, because there's stuff that got skipped over, just ask us, and maybe we'll do like a Q&A type video at some point.